it under their booty going into Week 11, Nate?
All right, I'm looking at the Ravens, and I can sit there and bore you with stats. Peter hates it when I do that.
Yep,
and I can tell you how they haven't scored more than 28 points since Week 1, and they're 1-4.
You're a little farter if it up.
Usually I tear it up.
It's very simple. The Ravens, they're struggling. Offensively, middle of the pack. Defensively, they're number 2. They're still in it. They're not out of this playoff scenario. Now they're getting a new haircut. You know, Schrager, you got your new haircut today. You look good.
What's your point?
Sometimes as a guy, you'll sit there and say, I want to change things up. Lamar Jackson is the new haircut for the Ravens.
Are you going to Lamar?
They've had the same look for a long time. There's nothing wrong with that clean-cut Flacco look, but now you got a young quarterback that is electric, that can run the ball. Sure, are there struggles with some accuracy? Of course. But the offense that they can build around him, that's what gives me excitement. All this talk we've been talking about, Joe Flacco being elite, he hasn't won since the Super Bowl. They've been struggling ever since. This is what everybody's been asking for. So I'm not talking to the fans. I'm not talking to the organization. I'm talking to you, Lamar Jackson. This is time to prove your worth. You didn't want to be looked at as a wide receiver. You felt like you were disrespected and looked over in the draft. Now it's time for you to go out there and prove not only to your team, not only to the fans, not only to your coaches, but to the world that you're a legitimate starter in this league. Go ahead and fool your hustle, man, and do your thing.
If Flacco is healthy and says, I'm good to go, and we know he's not 100%, you still go Lamar Jackson?
Still go with Lamar Jackson. Wow. It's about time. And I know we've been
getting away from him.
We've been pulling off this Band-Aid very slowly. And let's just be honest, that large number looming over Joe Flacco's head, the cheap young prospect that's right behind him, the athletic ability, and some of these systems that these teams are running that are very successful. Let's see what Lamar has.
Love that. Peter has a perfect haircut, right?
Okay, it's great.
Big Ben.
Wow, okay.
Big Ben had
I love your hair too.
Big Ben had a perfect game last Thursday, right? 5 touchdowns, no interception, a perfect passer rating. You said it might have been the best game Big Ben ever played.
It's incredible.
Up against the Panthers. That's who I'm looking at to continue to fuel his hustle. Because this game was incredible, right? He was amazing. And really, he only has 4 interceptions, guys. 4 interceptions over the last 8 games with 20 touchdown passes thrown. But we all know what's just ahead in Week 11. It's the Jags. This is scary stuff. We're talking 7 turnovers in 2 games. We're talking 5 turnovers in the regular season facing the squad. We talk a lot about them going up north and slaying the Dragon up in Foxborough. You can't do that unless you slay this one as well, because they got the best of you in a big way. There's a chance, in my opinion, here to exercise some demons that are going on. I think he's got unfinished business with this Jaguars team. And I want him to keep things on track. And the bonus icing on the cake for this is all this Le'Veon Bell distraction. He's asked about it. He's like, he's not here. They're divvying up his stuff in the locker room. To me, this is a perfect, we don't need Lev Bell. Guess what? I'm Big Ben, and I'm going to keep this rolling, and we're legit Super Bowl contenders.
It does close a door on last year if they blow out the Jaguars.
I don't know. Maybe I just don't have it anymore. Maybe I don't have it. I don't know.
New season, like Roethlisberger. That's awesome. I agree, and we'll see what happens there. I'm going with another quarterback. It's funny that we talk about Le'Veon Bell so much, and people are like, why are you talking about Le'Veon Bell? He's not even on the field. If you watched our show from January 2nd to March 14th, all we talked about was Kirk Cousins. Yeah. All we talked about was Kirk Cousins. Is he worth the money?
Not a Cousins.
Would you pay Kirk Cousins? How many teams? He's the belle of the ball. And he got every last dollar that we even said was possible, all guaranteed. And they're paying him that money in Minnesota for games like this weekend. They're not paying him for wins in week 2 or week 3. They're not paying him to win you your fantasy league. And they're certainly not paying him to just be in the mix. They are paying him to win the NFC North, secure a home field playoff game, and get a victory in the playoffs that gets them past where they were a year ago. Kirk Cousins has had a great year in Minnesota. But I'll tell you what, against the Buffalo Bills at home in a game he should have won, he laid an egg.
Yeah.
And that's the ghost of Kirk Cousins that keeps on creeping in. Yeah. You cannot have one of those games this week. You cannot lay an egg. It is on prime time against the division-leading Bears, a team at home that you believe you should beat. Kirk Cousins, they paid you the scratch. This is where you earn it. Not in August, not in doing documentaries for NFL Network, not for doing funny tweets. They paid you the money to beat the teams you should beat in the NFC North. I want to see Kirk Cousins fuel his hustle and get a win on Sunday night.
That's good, Peter. But he was tweeting his wife was listening to Christmas music too early. That does nothing for you?
No, it's not.
Got to beat the Bears?
Go beat the Bears.
Gotta beat the Bears.
All right. I'm looking at Broncos-Chargers. And the Chargers are plugging along, having this great season. They're doing their Royal Rumble. Everything's great. And there's a lot of fighters in the ring, and it's going really well. But everyone just seems to keep looking at the curtain and looking at the tunnel, and Haku's in there and the Warlord and everything. But, give us the big dogs. And wouldn't you know, yesterday, By God, that's Joey Bosa's music? What is he doing here? Look at this at 6'5", 280 pounds from the Ohio State University, Joey Bosa. Back on the practice field, the Chargers just tweeted mood, and Bosa was up, like just how you want the pit boss to do it. And Anthony Lynn's being really cautious. He's saying, well, we'll do a few drills, we'll do a few more drills, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe we can get him some snaps for Sunday.
Woo!
Maybe some snaps. So it's almost like the Chargers have been this incredible machine. They look great. And there's always this, Kay's brought it up, I brought it up, and they still don't have Bosa. And he's their best defensive player. How about the pit boss walking on the practice field, walking out this weekend potentially against the Broncos, and he's that kind of guy they're all going to join on, try to throw him over the top rope. He's not here for it.
Can I get one more Jim Ross introduction of Joey Bosa right there?
That's 6'5", 280 pounds of beat. Ohio State University. My God, he's broken in half. And hopefully that's not Case Keenum. We're praying for him, whoever it may be, because Bosa's got one to prove right now. It's incredible. Mankind off the top of the cage. Look out.
That is your Oikos
Right, baby.
0 Fuel Your Hustle. If you guys have somebody to add, please tweet the show, #GMFB. We're talking all things Thursday night action. We've got Rodgers taking on Wilson out on the West Coast. Cannot wait for that.